From all over the country, the very best accounting students converge on Sunway City. Over the years, Sunway College has developed thousands of successful accountants.
We are the largest provider of professional accountants to the Big Five in Malaysia. This is a serious profession, and at Sunway College, we mean business.
Hi, Kiran.
Hi, Dinesh.
Hi, everyone who's joined us today, this evening.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this live session from Sunway Test. I'm Kiran, and this is my colleague Dinesh. Dinesh, let's get started. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I'm Dinesh Ramadas. My students just call me Mr. D, and I've been with Sunway for 25 years now. Okay,
Wow,
so
that's a long time.
yeah, Mr. Theo actually started the division in 1994, and I joined him in 95. So 1995. So that's what, close to 25 years now.
I guess you are one of the oldest staff. Shall I say oldest, longest in Sunway Test?
I am in Sunway Test. I think I am. Yeah. So I'm the subject head for all the management subjects, and I've got other hobbies as well. I love traveling, and I used to play cricket for Malaysia.
That's nice. Do you still play cricket?
I play social cricket, no more competitive cricket. Yeah.
It requires a lot of practice, Dinesh.
Of course. Younger days, we had the time, we had the body and the mind to do it, but now no way. So there's so much of time spent at Sunway College. There's just no time for practice or play or anything.
Oh, you have to say that again, and I will concur. Spending a lot of time in college.
Exactly. We spend a lot of time in college. There's hardly any time for anything else.
Precisely.
Okay. So, Kiran, how was your week?
My week has been good, and I have been just like you. I've been in Sunway Test for about 16 years now, and ever since I joined Sunway Test, I've not looked back. Being in the faculty, sorry.
Do you realize something that our lecturers, our senior lecturers particularly, we have been with Sunway College for so many years now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, Dinesh, this is my longest lasting job. How about that?
Tell me about it. I'm not surprised.
And you know what? I was always proud to be a lecturer. And guess what? I've also become an alumni.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, yes. I have, I took on the CIA exam sometime back in Sunway Test. And you know how Sunway Test records are for every qualification that we offer. We have got high pass rates. And guess what? For my cohort, we had 100% pass rate.
For CIA?
Yes, for the CIA exam.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you know what else was amazing? Bulk of the students in there were my ex-students.
Your classmates?
Yes, they were. I was once their lecturer, and now they were actually my classmates.
Cool, so cool. Yeah.
Yes. And sometime back, I also did my NLP training. So I'm a certified NLP trainer as well. Yeah. So that has been, how shall I say, all these qualifications were pursued while working in Sunway Test.
Good, very good. Good for you, Kiran.
And you asked just now about how the week has been. Actually, it's been a very busy week. I think it's the same for you too, right, Dinesh? Because it's the revision week and...
Revision week, and there's marking to do. And then the students one-to-one, trying to improve the grades. So all that put in, there's a lot of time in Sunday actually these days.
Yeah, we have a lot of viewers who have come in, and I think they want to know a little, quite a fair bit about the SBL paper. Yeah. And we both have been teaching this paper right from day one. We went for a lot of training to prepare us for the paper. We attended a lot of the trainers training, Singapore, Malaysia. And it was a bit of a challenge, but it's really an interesting paper. Would you agree with that?
Definitely, 100%. I'll agree with that. It was just not the paper alone, the journey, the entire journey, getting to teach this paper, starting from the first cohort, September 2018 onwards.
18, right.
It's been exciting, it's really exciting and challenging. Yeah, I must
Very
say that.
exciting, challenging, and I think the paper has grown as well. But let's
Yeah.
start from the beginning. Do you know that there's a lot of misconceptions for this paper?
Misconceptions, really?
Yeah, misconceptions. People think that the paper is very tough. You know how students are, they only like to pass on news like the paper is very tough, it's very difficult. And one of the things that they always talk about is the length of the exam. 4 hours, and this is the longest duration for any of the ACCA papers.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
All the
So,
other papers at the strategic professional level is only 3 hours and 15 minutes.
yep.
Yeah, this is the only 4 hour paper.
Yeah, but there's a reason why it's a 4 hour paper. So, let's start with talking about the syllabus of the paper. Then it will make sense why it is a 4 hours paper. So,
Okay,
Dinesh, why don't you enlighten us on the syllabus of the paper?
sure, sure. The strategic business leader paper is a very practical paper, something that you would be expected to do at the workplace. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So although it's a business leader paper, the examiners, they're not very particular about students applying academic models and all that. So like I said, it's really like an office like paper,
Yes.
so you'll be asked to prepare reports, you'll be asked to prepare briefing papers, sometimes even asked to be you'll be asked to prepare slides. Okay.
True.
So it pretty much reflects the workplace. Okay.
Yes.
And having said that, it's a broad paper. It is not a very technical paper, but it's a paper that requires a lot of commercial acumen. I will speak to you more about commercial acumen later. Okay. And this paper has got, the syllabus is quite broad. There are 8 sections in the paper, and we divide the sections into A to H. Section A is leadership. It's about how leaders must set an example, set the right tone in leading organizations. Then section B is about corporate governance. We all know how important corporate governance is today, especially for large
Yep.
PRPs. Yeah. And then section C is strategy, planning for the organization. The board of directors, they have to come up with effective and efficient strategies for the organization, right? So we've got strategy there, a very interesting section. Then there is risk management in section D, followed by IT section E. Section F is all about how to implement the right controls, effective controls in an organization, section F. Section G, we have a little bit of financial and management accounting, but nothing technical there. And section H is all about change management and how to manage all the changes projects. So it's really, really very interesting. Okay. And although this is not a technical paper, it requires a lot of thinking. It requires
Yes.
a lot of planning in the exams, and I think if students can spend enough time practicing a lot of past year questions, they will be able to ace this paper. They will be able to do really well. They really need to approach this paper with a very broad mind, open mind, And as I said, they should not force themselves to apply models and things like that. Okay, just look at the question, look at the requirements, and be very practical about the question, and just go about answering it. That's about it. Simple. It is
And I
simple.
think I would just add and say that, a lot of general knowledge also plays a part in here. Like what you said, the commercial acumen.
Commercial acumen,
Yes.
basically doing some wider reading, showing awareness of things outside the textbook.
Yep.
Yeah,
Certainly.
and common sense, a
Yes.
lot of common sense, the SBL paper. So I think that's what the syllabus is about. Why don't you tell us something about the SBL exams, Kiran?
Right. The exam is 4 hours, and there's always this misconception in terms of like why 4 hours? And ACCA. You remember when we went for the training, and what did the trainer tell us? I mean, if you think the exam is too long, it's okay. We'll make it back to 3 hours. And then everyone freaked out, and we said, no, 3 hours are not going to be enough. The paper can be anywhere between 12 to 16 pages. You can have questions anywhere between 3 to 5 questions. And the unique thing about this paper is that there is no pre-seen material. That means everything that you attempt in the exam is what you get in the exam hall. I would say that that's the beauty of this paper because it truly shows the candidate's performance because there's no pre-seen material. For people who are working, I think they'll be able to manage it better. Full-time students, may find it challenging doing the paper because of the length of the case. Plus, we are Asians. Command of the language sometimes can be a bit of a challenge. English is not many a times the first language. Right, so these are some of the the challenges that students face. However, ACC has always provided the assurance that you don't have to have a bombastic or fantastic English, even though you write in Singlish, Manglish, Chinglish. That's the terms they have used, and they said that the markers have been trained, to be able to understand, and as long as they can get the meaning of it, students will be awarded marks. And like what you were saying just now, models are there to provide you with some structure. So even if students don't use the models and they can present their answers logically, because when you're doing this paper, you have to, it's a role play. And a role play meaning as a consultant. And you could be an in-house consultant in the organization, or you may be an external consultant. Right? So the whole paper requires a role play. And an additional challenge could be that sometimes you would have one exhibit which may be applicable for multiple questions, and sometimes you would have one question which you will need to take multiple exhibits. So it's a lot of connecting the dots.
Yeah, connecting the dots, integrating the
Connecting
exhibit,
the
right?
dots, interpreting what is being said. Sometimes things are made as a passing remark. So all this requires a lot of commercial acumen. You need to be able to connect information from one exhibit to the next exhibit. Right? Although sometimes one exhibit may have high importance in the question, but there may be a lot of other information scattered elsewhere. So you want to add anything else, Dinesh, on that?
No, I just want to ask you, 12 to 16 pages long, 12 to 16 pages long.
Yes.
Would that be a challenge for our students?
I would say that if you do diligent, for my view, if
No,
you would understand.
sorry, Kiran. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that, you are in an exam hall
Yes.
for 4 hours. So,
Yes.
you're sitting to take an exam. So I'm sure your heart is beating at a very fast rate. Yeah.
Certainly.
And
Certainly.
you've got a question paper there in front of you, which can be anything between 12 to 16 pages long. How do students handle that?
All right. I'm sure you would be saying the same thing as well, which would be, it is very important when students read annotating the paper. Many a time, students take it as a story and they don't annotate. Must understand the segments. And another important thing in the paper, which is again unique specifically to this paper, is the professional skills.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep, the professional skills. And we have 20 marks on the professional skills. And coming back to the paper, just always start off by understanding the background, which is the first page. Then reading the requirement, and need to spend time to read the requirement, annotate the requirement, segment your requirement, and then you read the remainder exhibits and whatever information that is supported.
So can I say the paper has got 3 parts? There's an intro, followed
Yes.
by the requirements, and then followed by the exhibits.
Followed by the exhibits, yes.
And it is standard 6 exhibits in all the exams so far.
About 6 exhibits, and on the intro page itself, they already give you a list of all the exhibits, which I think is very nice because you really get a picture of it, so that before you start reading the requirement, you know roughly what are the exhibits that are in there. And I was telling you just now, Dinesh, that this paper has got this professional skills, C case, 5 professional skills, and you have 20 marks.
20
right?
marks. Okay.
Yeah. Would you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Like you just mentioned, the paper is divided into 80 technical marks and 20 professional marks. Okay, no other paper in ACCA has 20 professional marks.
True.
I think max is just 4 professional marks in the other papers. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is 20 professional marks. This is so important. And when you say 20 marks, you can see the weightage of this 20 marks. Yeah. If you do well with the professional marks, it becomes so much easier to pass the paper. Because
True.
for example, let's say you score 20 out of the 20 marks available. If you score 18 marks, Kiran, If you score 18,
18, Dinesh. Don't you think that's a bit of a challenge in getting 18? Let's try with half first, Dinesh.
no, I don't think so. I think with the right practice, in place,
It's possible. It's possible.
Okay, let's be conservative. Take 15 marks. Okay, you score 15 out of 20. That means you only need to score 35 out of the remaining 80 marks to pass the paper.
True.
Right,
And that's
okay?
less than half. That's less than half.
Less than half, exactly. That's my point. And there are 5 professional skills that you need to master. 5.
Yep.
And we use the mnemonic C case to identify the 5 professional skills. C case. The first C stands for communication skills. The second C for commercial acumen.
Yep.
A for analytical skills. S for skepticism skills. And E for evaluation skills. Okay. Communication skills. Basically, you must have the ability. Your answer must have the ability to get the message across. So you must be able to communicate with clarity. You must be able to communicate convincingly. At times, you need to be persuasive with your message to persuade someone to do something. That's communication. Commercial acumen. We were talking about commercial acumen earlier. Remember, commercial
Yes.
acumen is all about demonstrating wider awareness. Okay, a lot of ACCA students, they tend to rely on textbooks, particularly the BPP. They tend
Very
to
much.
yeah. So it's very important. You're a professional. You're a semi-professional at this stage. You're a semi-professional. It's very important to show evidence of wider reading outside the textbook. I sometimes tell my students that whenever you visit a place, you visit a shop, you go traveling, you must travel like an analyst. You need to put on your thinking hat at all times and
True.
keep asking questions. How? Why? How? Why? You got to develop that habit. So commercial acumen is all about common sense, showing evidence of wider knowledge, wider reading. It's about basically showing judgment. In coming forward with the right answers. Analytical skills obviously is about finding out. It's about reading between the lines in the scenario. It's about finding out what the examiner is trying to tell me. So a lot of students in Malaysia, they tend to just read the scenario and then just keep highlighting and highlighting and highlighting. So I'm against highlighters. I tell the students, keep annotating the paper, don't highlight. Eventually you only have a yellow paper.
Dinesh, I want to say something on that part which you are saying, which is true. And you know what? Many a times, the paper actually presents you information and leads you in the wrong way. And I always tell my students, don't be gullible, be questioning, apply your skepticism skills, because it doesn't mean everything in there, it's the way it is.
Yes. Even the CEO of the company can be questioned.
Yes, certainly.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what you mean by skepticism skills. And as auditors, it's a very important skill to possess.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Skill to equip yourself with as auditors, And and then we have E. E is for evaluation. Evaluation skills is where you're able to show me the pros and cons of a given strategy, for example. So that's what you mean by evaluation skills. So the professional skills is very unique to me. That's a very unique development. Very unique development.
Indeed.
No other paper has this to offer. And you know what's the best part? You told earlier that this paper has got 4 hours, right? They give you 4
Yes.
hours.
Right.
4 hours for how many marks? 80 marks.
For 80 marks, because 20 marks are for the professional skills.
It's about the quality of your answer. It's about the format, the structure, tone of your answer. So you're not going to spend any extra time for the 20 marks.
True.
So you've got 4 hours to get your 80 marks, which is a lot of time.
It's amazing, actually. Yep. True.
Amazing. It gives you a lot of time to read, analyze, plan. It gives you a lot of time. And students must know how to make good use of that. Now,
Indeed.
among the 5 professional skills, Kiran, personal question.
Sure.
Okay, which one do you think is the most challenging?
My opinion, commercial acumen.
I must agree.
But do you know what was the ACCA's view? They thought it was the skepticism. Do you remember when we went for the training early this year?
That's right, in Singapore.
We spoke to Miss Catherine, the trainer. And when I told her my rationality that, it should be commercial acumen, And she said, why? I said, well, it requires a lot of knowledge. And you look at the cases that have come up thus far. There has been something on a hotel, there's a construction company, there's a chocolate manufacturing company, a clothing retailer. So it's like the questions are from a myriad of industries, and you certainly need to be well read, well versed, not necessary to know in detail, but you need to have general understanding. And almost in every paper, there are segments that requires you to use your GK, general knowledge.
Knowledge, correct. And I think our students, if they do some wider reading, read the newspaper, watch some news, be aware of what's going on. Because for example, the scenario could be about an airline company. Okay, and
Yeah,
there
you were
might
talking about that this morning, actually. Remember, we were talking about it this morning? Yeah.
and there might be some information about different aircraft types in the scenario. Different aircraft types, Boeing 737 and Airbus A320, for example. So
That's
if
so
students,
interesting.
if students don't know how a Boeing 737 differs from an Airbus, if they don't know things like this, then obviously it's going to become very difficult to answer a paper like that. So
Yes,
these
and I feel that the full-time students, sorry, the
lecturers
full-time
this
have actually an advantage.
sorry, yeah.
The full-time students, they actually have an advantage of time. And when we were studying, there was no such thing as internet. We had to depend on the hard copy of the newspaper. Today,
Right.
information is easily available and at their convenience.
Yes, that's right. So much of information available, isn't it?
Yes,
At their fingertips, literally at their fingertips.
Dinesh, when I did my ACCA, we literally had to depend on the tuition provider and the lecturer, actually.
No other
And
source of information, isn't it?
yeah, and
No.
you know what? We never saw the original books, and there was no internet, and we had to depend on the lecturer to provide us with the material. We had to, depend on the revision kit from the lecturer. And information was really limited. That's all we had.
But having said that, I feel today there's an overload of information.
That's true as well.
Students want everything, so that can be a problem. You need to know what information to use.
Yeah,
That is a skill. That is a skill by itself.
that's
Yeah.
health skill by itself.
Correct.
Dinesh, this paper is introduced since September, and ACCA is always keeping abreast with what's happening in the environment. Why don't you enlighten us with some of the updates that have taken place since then?
Okay, September 2018. That's when the paper was introduced. Every year September, ACCA will review the syllabus. Every year, September. Okay. So in September 2019, for the September 2019 exam onwards, they introduced three very important topics. One was blockchain, the other one was cryptocurrency, and the third one was ICO, initial coin offering, the equivalent of an IPO, initial public offering. Yeah. So ACCA, you know how ACCA works, right? They always keep themselves relevant. They stay
Yes.
relevant. Yeah. If you look at SBL, this is exactly the kind of work you will be expected to do at your office place.
True.
Yeah. And so the topic's also in line with that.
Yes, very much.
Today, when you talk about IT, okay, what are the main areas that are important in IT today? Cloud computing is important. Data, big data, or data analytics is important. Okay. E-commerce, using the internet to streamline your supply chain processes. That'll be important. And of course, security will always be important, isn't it? And now they've added on blockchain, cryptocurrency, and ICO.
Yep.
So this is how they stay relevant. And there's loads and loads of information available on the ACCA website. Okay, students must really exploit all the resources available there.
Actually, ACCA is very helpful. They also provide a lot of technical articles. The ACCA also provides all the past exams, specimen papers. So in material wise, if you compare the cohort now with the first cohort, even with the first cohort, ACCA was very supportive. And with the current one, they have a lot more information.
Correct. Okay, Kiran.
Yes.
I want to ask you something. I'm sure this is going to excite you because you have had hands-on personal experience with this. Can you tell us something about the ethics and professional skills module.
Yes, certainly. Okay, this is very exciting. ACCA first introduced it.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Because, I mean, as a ACCA member and a graduate, as a fellow member and a graduate, I don't have to do it. But I always like to know what's happening, what's going on. And ACCA offered that module to us. I took it on, and even if I had to pay for it, I would have done the module. It's a very interesting module, and it has got 9 areas in it. You go in sequence, and it's very itself, you can manage it on your own. There are areas where you will provide you with the info, then they have a short Q&A session, and it ends at the end with the case study. And some of the areas that are in there, very, very relevant to SBL paper. So it talks about ethics, skepticism, leadership, teamwork, data analytics, communication, you know, all the things that we highlighted, right? So all your professional skills are in there. And it's really important that students, before they come in to the SBL paper, actually attempt the ethics module. And I would say that there are 3 reasons why you would want to attempt this ethics module. First and foremost, it prepares you for the SBL paper. Right. Secondly, to gain your affiliate status, which means after you complete all your ACCA papers, to get your affiliate status, you need this ethics module. And if you're going to do it later, might as well you do it right now, isn't it? And it helps you in your SBL paper. And ACCA says it takes about 20 hours to do it as a max. I took about 14 hours, I would say.
Good.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yes, and some students have actually finished it in slightly lesser hours than that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, if you sit and do it and you know what's the best part? You don't have to do it continuously. You can always pause, come back to it, and you continue where you left off.
Oh,
And
so you take a staggered approach.
yes, you can take a staggered. However, you cannot skip modules. It has to be in sequence.
Okay.
So each module has parts, and everything will be in sequence. So only when you finish module 1, you can move to the next module.
Will there be an assessment after every module?
Yes, and you know what? This time with this new module, you're actually awarded with a certificate as well. And this certificate, graduates can actually put it in their resume, and employers will certainly value someone who has got this additional certificate.
Is this free?
Sorry to say that it's not free. You have to pay £60, but it's worth an investment of the £60.
So £60, you can take the assessment any number of times.
You take the assessment once, you can attempt all the other modules, because once you have attempted it, then there's no reason to go back in.
No, that's not right. Let's say I finish the first module.
Yep.
Let's say I fail the first module, first assessment.
Okay, you won't progress. It will send you.
Do I have to pay £60 again?
No. Your assessment is only at the end.
Okay.
All right. So and at each module, at various intervals, you will there is a small mini assessment, and you need to pass the mini assessment. If you don't pass the mini assessment, you have to re-attempt.
Okay. So what are the 3 reasons? Can you summarize the 3 reasons for us?
All right. The 3 reasons. First of all, is going to help you in your ACCA paper, in the SBL paper.
Okay.
All right. Secondly, as an affiliate, you will need this. Only then you will get your affiliate status.
So let me confirm on this. You mean to say that if you don't pass the EPSM, you can never become an ACCA affiliate?
Yes, you finish your papers, and all this while, once you finish your papers, you automatically become an affiliate. ACCA has now made a requirement, apart from your technical papers, you need to also attempt and clear the EPSM module, then you get your affiliate status. And upon completion of 3 years relevant experience, you become a member.
Okay.
And the last reason, you are awarded a certificate, which can be included in your resume.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. It's really worth doing this, isn't it?
It is, because as professionals, it's really important. Professional accountants, it's really important that we have the skills. And, you know, with what's been happening in the corporate world, with all the corporate scandals, it's imperative that, graduates equip themselves with the skills And many a times, your work environment can be very challenging. There may be a lot of temptations. You may, so you need to use your discretion, not succumb to those, uphold your ethics. And you're dealing with a lot of clients. Clients may be sometimes in-house. Your colleagues are also sometimes your clients. You may be dealing with external people. All this interpersonal communication skills, using judgment, skepticism, analytical skills. It's all so vital. And I like the EPSM module because they, it's interesting. It's not just text. They also have videos. Yeah, and they also, some of it is, they have MCQ questions. There also is a lot of information that they provide and to foster
I
better
heard
understanding.
it's a very interactive module. It's a very
It is
interactive.
it is a very interactive module. Yes.
That makes it interesting.
Dinesh, after teaching this paper for quite some time and looking at all the other
One minute. Sorry to interrupt. The
it's okay.
EPSM module is now £69 to do it.
Oh, all right. So they must have increased it when they first.
They pumped it up. Yeah, so it's now £69
Okay,
to do.
then my apologies on that. So
it's really worth doing it.
It is. It's really worth doing it.
So I hope the students realize the longer the wait, the more expensive it could become in the future.
Actually, I want to re-emphasize, and I tell this in all my classes, when they first start, if you have not completed your EPSM module, go ahead and do it. It's really important and it's very helpful in the SBL paper.
Yeah, it's really, and it's value for money. We stress
value
on
for
this
money.
SBL a lot, VFM. It's really value for money. They got to do it. Okay, Kiran, we have quite a number of viewers here today. And many of them are actually degree holders, graduates, okay, coming on to do the strategic professional levels, coming on to do. So most of them get exempted from the first 9 papers.
True.
Okay? So they come on straight to the strategic professional level. And will SBL be the right paper to do as the first paper for degree holders?
Actually, it's a very interesting paper, and I would say it will be a good choice to do SBL. Really would be a good choice.
To do SBL first.
Yes, it will be a good choice because, in degree program, they do have quite a fair bit of interaction. They have done some of their presentations. And they would have done some research. Actually, it would be very helpful. However, there is quite a large gap from a degree program and SBL. In fact, with any of your ACCA papers, the depth that is required, even at your skills level, requires depth. What more at your strategic level?
Right?
I do have many students who are degree program students, and there is quite a bit of a challenge to make them realize that how you write in a degree program and how you have to write in the ACCA paper is actually very different.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of them actually tell me, Miss, if we had presented like this in our degree program, we would have come out as toppers.
Big difference, isn't it? There's a big difference.
Yeah, there's so much of depth, there's so much of detailing, and everything in our paper has to be justified, explained. You can't just take a remark from the case and put it in. You have to add value to it. What is the relevance? What is the significance of the point that is extracted?
Exactly. So this is the the first paper they should do, SBL, because Kiran, or if you notice all the other papers at the strategic professional level, you take SBR, you take AFM, APM, tax, audit, they're all very technical papers. Very technical. We can safely say that SBL is relatively non-technical.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe that's the reason why they should take SBL as a first paper. But having said that, they should really prepare themselves for such long case studies. I don't think in the degree days they would have come across a case study.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, and you know what, Dinesh? After completing SBL students, right? Because I have quite a fair bit of degree program students. Guess what? They come back and tell me, Miss, we actually missed the SBL class. Because in SBL class, when we do all the topics, we bring in a lot of real life examples. And so, together with the learning,
The only way to
they,
teach a paper.
true. And,
Exactly.
they get such a wide exposure. And some of them really get very excited and they actually read up on it. And, they come back and chat with me and say, you know what, Miss, you brought this up in class, right? And I actually went and looked up and they come and share information, which is exactly what they should be doing.
Right. We are just trying to develop their commercial acumen skills, aren't we?
True. Yes.
Yeah.
Commercial acumen, analytical skills also, because it helps them to analyze, and sometimes they come back and say, when I read this and I compared it with this, and this is what I noticed, the difference or some of the similarities.
Yeah, that's important.
Dinesh, we have so many audience apparently. Do you think we would like to take some questions from the audience? Anyone? Do you all have any questions that you would like us to answer? I'm currently a degree student. Do you recommend taking ACCA Accelerate program while doing our degree program? Shall I take this, Dinesh?
Yes, Kiran, please. Thank you.
Certainly, we have a lot of graduates, ACCA, who coming in for the ACCA Accelerate program. And if I understand correctly, Accelerate program is while you are still pursuing your degree in your uni and simultaneously doing the ACCA program. If I understand correctly, that's what it is. And yes, you should. It's wonderful that you can you can attempt both simultaneously. Yes, I got a confirmation. It is true. So that's the Accelerate program. And you know what is the benefit of the Accelerate program? I remember I went for a talk at one of the unis. ACCA, Dinesh, do you know, actually grants them exemption in some of the sign up fees and things. I'm not too sure on the details, but they get quite a bit of a preference.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, very kind of ACCA, they are doing their uni program and at the same time doing the ACCA program, so yeah.
So it runs simultaneously, the business and the ACCA program. It runs
Yes.
concurrently, isn't it?
Yes,
So,
actually, Dinesh, you know what? I taught the two groups. I taught the UM students and I also taught the IIUM students under the Accelerate program.
Okay.
And you know how much of fees? Can you make a guess how much of fees that the students will save if they sign up for the Accelerate program? Just to make a guess, Dinesh.
2,000, 3,000?
Times 2, Dinesh, 6,000.
Wow. Wow.
That's quite a bit.
That's
quite a
lot.
bit.
That's a lot. And when they graduate, they have a double qualification.
Yes.
Look
That
at
means,
that.
you know what? They are doing it concurrently. Their uni papers and the ACCA paper. But I must say, Dinesh, it will cut down their social life because, they will be having weekend classes. But,
So
no pain, no gain.
this applies only if they sign up for the Accelerate program, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But Dinesh, it's worth it, right? You save 6,000 and you get 2 qualifications rather than finishing one and attempting the second one.
Correct.
And I would say it's easier to attempt ACCA while you're studying compared to while you're working.
Correct. While you're working, the commitments will change, your priorities will change.
Dinesh, I did my whole ACCA while working, and I'm very thankful to my firm. My firm sponsored me. And yes, so it was, full commitment at work, full commitment for studying.
Excellent.
I know I went through hell, I must say that, but it's worth it. I'm so proud that I completed my ACCA.
Nadia, did Ms. Kiran answer your question? Nadia's not here now.
Yeah.
Don't get
Dinesh, shall we, maybe, for the audience, because most of them are degree program students, what do you think they would need to do to prepare themselves, before joining ACCA? Some of them may sign up for the Accelerate program. Some may feel that, no, I want to complete my degree and then pursue my ACCA. Whichever path they choose, they are still going to come in for ACCA. What do you think they would need to do to prepare themselves?
So these are degree students you're talking about, or?
Yes, degree students, either they take up the Accelerate program, which means they do concurrently, or they complete the degree and then pursue ACCA.
Okay. Very important. The focus is very important. Yeah. So, and as we recommended, the first paper is going to be SBL, isn't it? Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's very important now that they change their mindset. They're no longer doing a degree program.
True.
It's very different. Yeah.
Yes.
So you cannot assume that things will be as easy as a degree program. It's not going to be the case.
Certainly.
Technically, this is going to be relatively difficult. Okay. So one of the most important things that they will have to do is to change their mindset. Tell themselves that this is a professional qualification that we're talking about here. It requires a lot more detailed, specific answers. Specificity is important. Okay, and I would tell them, see, if you're doing a strategic professional level paper, sign up for one paper because it's quite intensive. It's quite intensive, especially if you're going to sit for exams every 3 months. Then just sign up for one paper. Okay,
I think
prepare.
we want to emphasize on that. You know what? Many of them, because they come from the degree program, and
Mm.
they have done a few papers,
Okay.
and they think that when they come in for ACCA, they can still take 2 papers and 3 papers. Even if you're a full-time student, okay, let's put it this way. My view, it's not impossible. However, you probably need to adjust the change from a degree program to ACCA. And if you're doing SBL, where it requires a lot of in-depth, broad reading, it makes sense to just attempt one paper.
Now, what I think, Kiran, initially while doing the degree, they can do
Mhm.
1 or 2 papers. They can do 1 or 2 papers.
True,
Yeah,
true,
maybe 1 or 2 of the easier papers. Then continue full-time study to complete the remaining 2 or 3 ACC subjects.
true as well.
Yeah, so that is an option they can look at, because this will shorten their study duration.
Dinesh, if they are taking the accelerate program, which means they are studying in the uni, then they won't be sitting for the exam for 3 months. They'll be sitting for 6 months. Right?
Okay.
So they still have that time to go through all the reading and prepare themselves. But if they are full-time students, maybe after completing their degree, and sometimes they think that they want everything to be fast, and they sign up for 2 papers. But there's a huge shift from the degree to the ACCA. So I personally would you agree that they should only sign up for one paper?
Initially,
Yes.
yes, yes. What I'm saying is, initially maybe you can sign up for 1 or 2 papers also, Kiran. That's what I feel.
Possible.
Yeah.
Possible.
Later on, they should do 1 paper at a time. Fully focus on the ACC papers, do 1 paper at a time.
True.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Yeah. Anyway,
Actually,
it will
if the
depend.
commitment, sorry.
Capabilities of the student. It will depend on the learning capabilities of the student.
That's what I was going to say. It's the commitment. If you really want something and you plan out well, you have a proper timetable, a proper schedule, you adhere to that, and you allocate adequate amount of time. It's not about being an superbly intelligent student, but studying smart. It will, they can definitely attain the pass.
Correct. That's true. That's true. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah. Please repeat the chapters. Okay, Dinesh, go ahead.
The chapters or the sections? Casey, got your question. Thank you for the question. There are 8 sections in the SBL syllabus. Okay. So section A is leadership. Section B is corporate governance. Section C is strategy. Section D is risk management. E is about IT, e-commerce and all that. Section F is about controls, internal controls of an organization. Section G is about finance. There's a little bit of financial accounting and management accounting, but nothing technical. And then section H is about change management and how to manage the change using project management techniques. So these are the 8 sections. Okay, but within each section, there are a number of chapters. So I've not told you the chapters, but I've told you the main sections of the syllabus. Yes. Did I answer your question, Casey? Casey, are you still there? I hope I answered your question. Right. Any further questions?
Can we have a walkthrough from the first we received the materials, the first hour and the last hour? Best way to utilize the time. Saiful, I believe you are asking in terms of how you want to manage in the exam hall?
Exactly. I think so.
I guess that's the question. All right. So when you get your paper, ACCA basically recommends about 40 minutes of reading time. Dinesh, personally, I don't think 40 minutes is enough. Do you think 40 minutes is enough?
No way, Kiran. Not
No.
not for our students. Not Asia. You know how Asia,
Yes,
when it's not the first language, it takes time to assimilate, to read, assimilate the
true.
scenario. Yeah. Please go
And
on.
if
Yeah.
you're talking about full-time students, right, Dinesh, if you're talking about maybe, working people, probably they can, but full-time students, it can be very challenging. So I would usually tell them they need about an hour. And if they take a little bit, even more than an hour, it's all right. Because you know why? It's so important to understand the case.
Correct.
Yeah, and after you have got 4 hours, you must reserve at least about your last 1 hour at a minimum to present your answer. And it's very important that, when you attempt the paper, that you do your questions in sequence. Remember, it's an integrated case studies. And many a times in the questions, decision that you made in question one may reappear in a subsequent question, may not be immediately in question two. So, for example, let's say in question one, they asked you whether the company wants to invest in A or B, and you actually said A, and your question three says that the board took your decision and decided to invest in B. So, that's basically, it's a hint telling you that, your decision was wrong. So you may need to relook. And I feel that, you need to plan out all your answers, review that, and subsequently, present your answers. So I would say that you need about an hour, at least at a minimum. Plan out all your answers, because there may be a follow on subsequently, and your last at least 1 hour you need to present your answer. And when you present your answer, please ensure you adhere to the formats. Ensure that you have opening paragraphs, you have continuity, linkage. You see, when you're doing this paper, it's as you are a consultant. So as a consultant, you're going to be presenting your answers to a client. So have a look. Is this how you would present your answer to your client? You want to add something, Dinesh?
Yes, I want to just add on to that. Saiful, when you get the paper, remember what we said earlier. The paper, SBL paper, has got three distinct parts. One is the intro, then the requirements, and then the exhibits. It's very important that you read in that sequence. You read in that sequence. So you start with the introduction, then you read the requirements, and after having read the requirements, Saiful, you keep all the requirements in mind. You keep all the requirements in your mind when you read the 6 exhibits. So when you look at a particular exhibit, you should already know which requirements are relevant for that exhibit. And you take about an hour, 20 minutes, maybe max about 80 minutes. Say about 80 minutes to do the reading,
Sure.
the planning, the analyzing, and all that, including coming up with short answer plans. You take a maximum of 80 minutes. That means, Saiful, you're left with 160 minutes. 160 minutes to score 80 technical marks. So that gives you about 2 minutes per mark. You still have 2 minutes per mark, which is quite a lot, quite a significant number. 2 minutes per
True.
mark. And I think if you can break this paper down in this way and structure it this way, it'll be so much easier to answer.
Remember when they were reading, and if they do the annotation, it really helps when you're planning out your answer.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Next question, please.
Is audit only the choice after ACCA? That's, I think, a real misconception. ACCA qualification is so versatile. You can go into any industry, right?
Like Mr.
And
Kiran, start teaching.
start teaching. Tony Fernandez, which, by the way, he has actually got honorary ICAW, but he's an ACCA graduate, right? So you have airlines. You had Tan Sri Wahid Omar, who used to be in telecom. He was in Maybank, right? There are so many, ACCA grads, top names, and audit is usually your first option to get in, because you see, when to get your membership, you need at least a minimum of 2 years of experience in audit. Why particularly in audit? Because in a short span of time, you get exposure to many companies. Having said that, even it's graduates who have not had audit experience, but they have had consulting tax, as long as you can complete your PR and you can show that you have got a wide range of experience, yes, you will still get your membership. So audit may be your first choice, maybe a stepping stone, which will be a good stepping stone. If you look at many of the senior positions, general managers, FDs, they often say that, experience, a minimum of 3 to 5 years in international professional service firms would be an added advantage. All right, next question, please.
Hello, Nazreen.
Hi, Nazrin. Is it viable for me to demonstrate commercial acumen by writing about real-life examples in the exam? If the question is about airlines, can I use Air Asia past events? Go ahead, Dinesh.
No, Nazreen, you can't do that. You cannot quote any real-life examples in your answers. So your answers must be only about the given organization, must be only about, so say, for example, the given organization is a hotel, it can only be about hotels. Sorry, it can only be about that particular hotel. You cannot bring in real-life examples into your answers. You cannot.
The reason is very simple. Your client is the hotel, and you are talking to your client about other things. And what's your client going to tell you? Hey, but you know what? You haven't addressed my issue yet. So, when you write your answers, it has to be case specific. Then you're probably wondering, why are we talking about reading other material and gaining knowledge? Because it will help you in providing your answer. It will give you a broad perspective, and you will have quality in your answer.
Kiran, can I add to that?
Yeah,
So
sure.
when you do some wider reading, Nazreen, it'll give you some ideas. So without mentioning the name of that organization, you can present your ideas in your paper.
Yes.
So that's the whole idea. That's why we ask you to do some wider reading. So you don't have to say that AirAsia did this, but you can just say they should do this.
True.
Without saying AirAsia. I hope you get it. Okay. Thank you, Nazreen, for the question. Good one. Next question, please.
Do you believe level of maturity affect the way how we answer the SBL paper? I should think so. That's what we have been talking about, right, Dinesh?
All the time.
All the time. Working people, they have commercial exposure, which helps them in doing the case. And full-time students, you have all the time to do a lot of reading. And actually, there's a lot of material available online. It can't be equal to having work experience, but you can certainly narrow the gap. You can bridge that gap.
Kusnina, it's not about the level of maturity. It's a level of business maturity which actually affects the way you answer paper. It's the business maturity.
Actually, Dinesh, what you were talking also, maturity to a certain extent also comes in. Remember about having a shifting the mindset?
Oh, tell me
And
about
also, yeah, and also about understanding that there's a different paper. When you're doing different paper, you put on a different hat.
Yes.
And you have to approach each paper as on its own, and you can't say, oh, I've done this before, but it was like that. So yeah, I would say that both, your personal maturity and business maturity.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed.
Thank you for that, Ms. Nina.
Thank you. Next question, please.
As a lecturer, do you see the difference on how the CAT, ACCA students answer the SBL paper compared to degree students? I would say yes, because the students have been in the CAT, ACCA system, and compared to the degree program students where your answers, apologies, but it's true, answers are relatively brief. There is a lot more depth in ACCA, what more at your strategic level. Right, Hussaina, I hope I've answered your question.
Right.
Next question, please.
Kiran, would you like to take that, please?
Sure. Can we work in the audit without AAA and ATX? Actually, you can. However, some firms have made it mandatory that you need AAA. ATX not for audit. ATX is if you want to be in the tax department. So some firms have made it mandatory. If you want to join tax, you need ATX. If you want to join audit, you need AAA. Some firms are okay as long as you have done the skill level audit or at your degree program, your audit paper. Next question, please. No questions? Dinesh, let's see if we sync on this, all right? You up to the challenge?
Definitely.
We have talked about the paper, we have talked about the exam, we talked about the EPSM, and what is the preparation and all. Having all this, don't you think there's another important factor that needs to be considered?
Tell me, I'm waiting.
All right. I would say that the tuition provider makes a difference.
Big difference. Right?
Very big difference. Very big difference. And let's see if we sync on this. I'm going to do a count to 3, and we both are going to say which would be the preferred tuition provider.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
1, 2, 3. Sunway test.
Sunway test. Give me a double.
Right.
Okay.
I honestly think that your tuition provider is so important, and firms these days and even commercial companies are looking at where they obtained their qualification. And
Right.
when they see it's Sunway test, many a times the students actually get preference. The graduates, the candidates, they actually get preference.
They're given priority for the interviews and all that.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Any more questions? Hi, Joey. If you're going to take SBL as the only paper, you can do it in 3 months.
True.
But if you're going to do it with any other strategic professional level paper, then you can do 2 papers over 6 months.
Yeah.
SBL is doable. It's doable within 3 months. It's certainly doable. Yes.
Just needs a lot of commitment and be diligent. Keep up to date with what your lecturer has taught you. You'll be fine.
Correct. Next question, please.
Since SBL requires more knowledge, so what is the best reading material that would suggest to degree students? Reading material. Go ahead, Dinesh. Go ahead.
No, good. I told her.
Reading material can be anywhere. It could be your newspaper, could be online. You don't even have to buy your material. If you go to Yahoo, you go to your Hotmail, go to your business section, you go to the Edge, Harvard Business Review. There are so many free material that is available that can help you to enhance your knowledge. Your library has a lot of management books. The management books, at the end of every chapter, they usually have a case study. And it's real life companies. You can read from there. Lots of places. If you become an ACCA member, you have your student newsletter that you can get a lot of information from.
Yeah, truth be told, there's so much of resources available on the ACCA website itself.
Yeah.
A whole lot of articles, videos, very interesting videos. ACCA has really put in a lot of effort.
Talking about that, Dinesh, there is a new thing, ACCA Lyceum.
Yes, ACCA Lyceum, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, ACCA Lyceum has for all the, if I'm not mistaken, the strategic level. I know there's for SBL, there's AAA as well, right? And it's open to everyone. They can go to the ACCA website, key in ACCA Lyceum, and you will have a whole load of videos there.
It's an initiative by ACCA Malaysia.
Sure. Contribution from various lecturers and including Sunway test lecturers as well.
Exactly.
They have for SBR as well. I just remembered, even as for law paper too.
Okay. Any further questions?
Is it necessary? It's not necessary, but compared to the other papers, which are very technical, SBL would be a good choice for you to start off as a first paper.
Correct.
And it will give you a feel, and it's a theoretical paper, and you don't need much technical knowledge. The frameworks that you learn will help you to provide a structured answer. Even without the frameworks, you can still attempt the paper.
All right.
I think that's it for this evening. It was nice being with all of you. Adios, farewell from Sunway Test. And hope to see you in campus.
Yes, exactly.
Do sign up and make sure you sign up with Sunway Test. Adios, farewell, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.